Hey there, Griff Hamlin here. Welcome and thanks for joining me today. We're going to be talking about open tunings, in particular open D and open E, which as you'll see are pretty closely related as they relate to good old slide guitar. You saw me playing a little bit of slide guitar on the way into this. I love slide guitar, so we're going to be talking a little bit about it for the next video or two, and got some stuff to go with it. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to, get into these open tunings and, in general, why do you want to use an open tuning for slide? In fact, there's, even without a slide, there are probably reasons to use an open tuning. Now, here's the thing, is when you use a slide, okay, keeping in mind a little bit of basic slide technique, okay, your slide acts like a fret. It's like a movable fret. So notice that I don't want to push down hard. If I push down hard, then it acts like my finger, and you hear the other real frets, and you don't want that. I'm just barely touching. So you hear, I have every pitch. Right? I have every pitch available to me. And so, that's kind of a unique situation. Well, there's positives and negatives to that. One of the negatives to that is that your intonation, which is your ability to play right in tune, has to be, spot on. And so the way we do that is using the actual frets and putting our movable fret, the slide, right over top of it. So while, if I'm playing the 12th fret up here on the first string, and by the way, if you try to play along with this, I'm in open D tuning, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. So if you try to play along with me right now, it may not work out. But right now, if I play that note, if I hit the harmonic, there they go. They're the same. If I put my slide, however, where I would normally play that fret, it's a little flat. Because normally, when we push down on a fret, we push down a little bit behind it. So in this case, you got to be right over top of the fret. So if things sound a little funny to you, I wanted to point this out. You may not have a lot of experience with slide. And these are just the two big things. You can't push down too hard. And you have to be right over top of the fret. You can't be a little bit behind it like we normally do. Now the other thing about slide, and where it comes into play for open tunings, is the fact that things tend to ring. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say again that I'm up here at this 12th fret. Well, if I play the second string, and I slide down, and then I hit the third string, the second string is still ringing. So they all move together because my slide is going across multiple strings. So I can't get, for example, this. Okay, I can't do that with a slide because I don't have anything to push there. Now, you can get crazy. There are ways to do things like playing behind the slide. And that's pretty advanced and, to be honest, pretty hard to do, and I'm not very good at it. If you want to check that out, check out Sonny Landreth. He does some amazing things with the slide and playing harmonics and things behind the slide and just all kinds of really, really neat stuff. That's not at all where we're going for. We want to keep it nice and easy because really there's a lot of things you can do with a slide and keep it quite easy. So the reason that we have this open tuning, hopefully it's obvious, is because we can play basically a major chord. Okay, so right here, there's the third, there's the fifth, there's the root. And on the fourth string is also the root. Root, third, fifth, root. So there we go. Now, in this case, I'm in open D. So my lowest string is going to be a D. That's a whole step below what it would be in standard tuning. Now, there are a variety of ways to get from standard tuning to an open tuning. You can use a tuner, of course. That's what I did. Clip it on your headstock or plug into it or whatever you do and tune it however you need. You can also use notes on your guitar already. For example, the open D. I can tune that low D, bring it down till they match an octave apart. Okay. The next thing I've got, this is an A. So that's A. Since it's A, it stays the same. D, A, D. This D, the fourth string, stays the same. So far I've got a D, I've got an A, which stays the same. My D stays the same. My G is going to go down to an F sharp. Okay, so right now this is an F sharp. My B went down to an A. So notice that I could tune it an octave above there. My high E went down to a D. So I've got a D here, and a D here, an A here and here, and an F sharp in the middle. Which means if I go up to the 5th fret, I have the 4 chord, a G, and if I go up to the 5 at the 7th fret, I have the A chord. So there's your 12-bar blues. There's the D. And you can do that same little move, by the way. So there's my 1, 4, and 5 chord. All right, so what that allows us to do when we solo, okay, and generally speaking, there's not a lot rhythmically we can do with a slide. As you can see, I can pretty much play major chords. That's kind of about what I get. You know, there's not a lot of options there. So you'll find that unless you get considerably more advanced, your options are limited rhythmically. But with soloing with a slide, and by the way, that's why I wear my slide on my pinky, is so that I can still use my other fingers if I want to play chords. Okay, I can switch back and forth, and if I'm playing in standard tuning slide, for example, then that would be handy. But I much prefer open tuning. It's just an awful lot easier for soloing with a slide. And if you go, you check out like Duane Allman and Derek Trucks and Warren Haynes and Bonnie Raitt and all those, most of the time, I'll say 90%, if not more of the time, they're using open D, open E, which as you'll see is basically the same, or open G, or open A. And open G and open A are related the same way that open D and open E are. So we'll get to that momentarily. But in any event, there's a really cool thing that you can do because of the fact that we follow the chords this way. So when you think about the soloing, you almost want to think in terms of chords. So let me show you probably one of my favorite ideas. Check it out. Okay, so what I'm doing is I hit the note on the 2nd string. So if I'm in D, right? So this is the 1 chord, 12th fret, same thing, right? So what I do is I go to the 2nd string and slide it down roughly 2 frets, but really by the time I get there, I'm going to grab the 3rd string and start coming back up until I get back to the 12th fret, and then I'm going to hit the 4th string. And basically what that's getting me is the 5th of the scale, the 4th of the scale, the flat 3rd to the 3rd, and the root. So if we were playing that in regular tuning, it would also sound cool, just not nearly that cool. And I can do it down here on the 5th fret to get my 4 chord. Now if you want the notes to go one at a time, what I do is I use my right hand middle finger to mute out. So I go down, and then when I come back up with the 3rd string, I use my middle finger on my picking hand to mute out the 2nd string. And then when I strike the 4th string, I use my middle and ring fingers to mute out on my picking hand. Or on the 5 chord. You hear it can sound very different depending on the muting. Now everything would work, like I said, exactly the same for open E tuning. All that's going to change is I'm going to bring everything up a whole step. So instead of D, it's going to be an E. Instead of A, it's going to be a B. Instead of D, it'll be an E. Instead of F sharp, it'll be G sharp. Instead of A, it'll be B. And instead of D, it'll be E. Alternately, you can use a capo. So now you can see I've put a capo on the 2nd fret, because that's up one whole step, so D, D sharp, E. So now, when I strum, I have open E. Now I just have to add 2 frets to everything. So instead of the 12th fret, my root is at the 14th, the 4 chord is at the 7th, and the 5 chord is at the 9th. You can also use the top string, by the way, before my little, I call it the down 2, up 3 move. So I'm going down on the 2nd string, up on the 3rd, and then the 4th string. And you can you can afterwards hit the top string or before. Either way will work. All right, so in open D or opening E tuning, there's one more thing that you got to know, and that is, the Elmore James lick. And Elmore James is honestly kind of one of the founding fathers of, electric slide guitar. Dust My Broom, all that kind of stuff. When that came out, he sort of set the standard for what the slide guitar was going to sound like from there on out. And it really stood that way for a long time. And, this one idea that he does, he just did it with such authority, and everybody just went, oh, that's really cool, and you just got to have that. So this is the Elmore James lick. Check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so as you can see, it's not real fancy, but I'm just hitting those top 3 strings, and this is at the 12th fret because it's my 1 chord. I'm back to open D. I took the capo off. So 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. And he would do it, sometimes he'd start on beat 2, or sometimes he would not play it as long, but it was always the same basic idea. It's that, hitting in triplets, just banging away on the chord. You could do it on the 4 chord, on the 5 chord, or on the 1 chord. It's a great idea no matter what you do. Okay, so basically what you have now is how to get to an open D or open E tuning, and a couple of really, really cool standard common ideas that go with those. And I'll sort of write them out in tab. It's a little bit tricky to write slide out in tab because you've got all the slides and the things. So it might look a little messy, but I'm trying to make it basically simple for you. And so you got some basic ideas. The main thing with it is just kind of to experiment, as with all things, just kind of experiment. I've also got a course called 5 Easy Slide Solos that there's a lot of open D and open E because of the fact that so many slide players use open D and open E. So you may want to check that out as well, and I'll leave a link near this video. So I hope you dug this. Hopefully, if you don't have a lot of experience playing with the slide, I hope you'll kind of play with this and get into it. Slide materials, I'm using a metal slide, but I've used ceramic, I've used glass. They have different sounds, they have different properties. My suggestion is just to sort of try one out. I'm using it on my pinky. Of course, you can use it on your 3rd finger, you can use it on your middle finger. There's as many options as there are slide players out there. I've even seen some guys play with slides on 2 different fingers and do all kinds of weird stuff. But we're just trying to keep it easy and have some fun with it. So I'm not going to get carried away. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll take a little time and experiment with it. There's a lot of fun to be had. I've really been enjoying slide playing over the last few years. I've kind of delved into it more and more and more. And it's just really, really fun. So hope you'll dig it, and you can check out 5 Easy Slide Solos if you'd like to get into it a little bit further. And again, I'll leave a link near this video. And thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you soon.